How's it going, everyone? It's Harvey from Weather Sponge. Today, it's February 23rd, 2022. As today, of course, we're going to focus on the next major northeast snowstorm that could bring over a foot of snow in some areas in the northeast, as well as bring a large area of snow for the Midwest. But before I begin, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video, and make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. So let's begin by taking a look at the current radar for the lower 48 and another threat with this next potential snowstorm, or pretty much this next snowstorm, which is expected to become winter storm Oaklee, is the extreme ice threat and freezing rain threat that's expected on the southern side of this snowstorm, where we're already seeing some freezing rain occur right along the Mississippi River and Ohio River Valley at this time, where the Ohio River and the Mississippi River converge, as we're seeing a moderate band of freezing rain move through this area. So you guys need to make sure to stay prepared for very slick road conditions right now. However, this is far from the snowstorm that's going to bring over a foot of snow to the northeast, as of course you see that the area of precipitation is rather small, but that's quickly about to change, because as this trough continues to move eastward, we're going to see the cold air move eastward as well, and that's going to interact with the warmer and humid Gulf of Mexico air mass, and that's going to create a high amount of convection and a high amount of buoyancy with the water vapor and the air molecules for this low pressure system to develop then from more than just a small snowstorm, bringing some isolated snow showers to the southwest, as we're of course going to see the snow expand, and we're going to see the precipitation rates go up as this storm continues to develop as it moves further eastward. But right now you see that the low pressure system is a little bit too far west for that to happen. The cold air is still far enough away from the warm air for any sort of real convection or rapid lower pressure to occur, but that's quickly about to change as this low pressure continues to move eastward. Now let me show you guys what the computer models are expecting. So like I said yesterday, the certainty with this storm is high at this point, and nothing has changed for today, and in fact I'd say the certainty has definitely gotten higher with this storm, as it seems like both the GFS model and the European model now have a really good idea of where exactly the heaviest snow will fall and where exactly that rain snow line will be along the northeast and the Ohio River Valley. So if I were to show you guys what the GFS model is currently forecasting, you see that the low pressure will continue to move eastward, and of course will encounter a very unstable environment. We will see the rain showers expand on the southern side of the storm, as well as the snow showers expand on the northern side, and of course we're gonna see a major freezing rain threat associated with the low pressure system, thanks to the amount of convergence there is between the southerly flow, which is bringing warmer air further northward, to really interact with the cooler air mass thanks to a northerly flow associated with this ridge in the northern portion of the Midwest. If I were to show you guys how the temperatures look like in the lower, mid, and upper levels of the atmosphere, look at how stark the temperature increases in right around the lower to mid levels of the atmosphere. You see that along the surface the temperature is at 24 degrees, which is well below freezing, but you see that the dew point as well as the temperature goes well above freezing in the mid levels of the atmosphere, and that's what's causing the major freezing rain threat. And you see that the temperature drops below freezing at the extreme lower altitudes of the atmosphere, which means that this won't fall as sleet. This will most likely the precipitation will fall in the form of freezing rain, and that's definitely a major concern for a lot of the southern Midwest and the northeast, as well as this freezing rain and warm air intrusion is gonna continue as this low pressure system moves eastward, and we're gonna see a major freezing rain threat on the southern side of the storm, where the temperatures on lower levels of the atmosphere will be below freezing, but in the mid levels we could see temperatures rise be well above freezing for a major freezing rain threat to occur. But of course, in the areas further northward, you see, if we were to take a look at the temperatures throughout the mid levels of the atmosphere, while in the areas where you're experiencing snowfall, there is a slight rise in the temperature as you go higher in altitude, but is it so high to where it becomes above freezing? So in the areas where you're experiencing snowfall, it's going to be an all snow event for you guys, because of course we're not going to see we're not going to see enough of a warm air intrusion to potentially melt the snow before it reaches the surface. So it's going to be an all snow event for the areas further northward, but you see that the area of snow definitely expands as this moves eastward, like I said, because there's going to be a high amount of humidity on the southern side of this low pressure system, and it's going to interact with the very dense air mass that's going to just create a lot more buoyancy with the air molecules to really develop this storm at a quite gradual pace, to where we're going to see this storm become more elongated. The cold air, the area where the cold air and warm air will interact, is going to be elongated, so as a result the precipitation will be elongated as well, and as well as the convection. So this means that we're going to see a pretty long duration storm, as well as high snowstorm that will bring high precipitation rates as a result of how fast the storm is developing and how much convection there will be surrounding the center of circulation. While the pressure isn't necessarily extremely low, you see that the pressure is still at around 1,014 millibars, which we have seen snowstorms have millibar pressures far lower than 1,014 millibars. The thing is that this area of snow is going to be very elongated, so that's why the snowfall will be higher than what you typically expect for low pressure system that's only right around 1,012 millibars. So you should expect still a major snowstorm despite maybe the weaker millibar pressure than you'd expect. But you see that for most of New England, there's going to be a snowfall threat, and you see that the rain snow line will pretty much be right over New York City for a lot of time, a little bit south to just right over New York City. And while I did say that there is high certainty with this snowstorm, because again, it's pretty much guaranteed at this point, we're going to see a major snowstorm for the Northeast as well as some snow showers for the Midwest. It's always uncertain, even when we're only around 24 hours out, where exactly that rain snow line will be, because that line is very narrow, and any minuscule changes in the forecast can make a big difference in terms of how much snowfall you experience. The current forecast for New York City is 1 to 3 inches, but that could easily change to maybe no snowfall accumulation at all, or potentially up to 6 to 12 inches of snow in New York City. Just a very difficult forecast to see where exactly that rain snow line will be. But I'd still say the most likely scenario for New York City is around 1 to 3 inches, because that is what both of the computer models are stating at this time, the most reliable computer models. But don't be surprised if we do see maybe a sort of significant snowfall change with the forecast for New York City, because again, where that rain snow line will be will make a big difference in terms of how much snow you receive. But I'd say anywhere north of New York City, it's pretty much guaranteed you're gonna experience heavy snow from this. Well over 6 inches of snow between the areas north of New York City and the middle portion of Maine. It's pretty much inevitable at this point. You're going to experience over 6 inches of snow. You see that Boston is receiving over a foot of snow based on the latest GFS model run. Actually, this is now the latest GFS model run, very similar to the 12Z run, but you see that the GFS model is forecasting over a foot of snow in Boston. So if you live around Boston, you need to prepare for a major snowstorm. This includes Hartford, Connecticut as well. Albany is getting involved with over 6 inches of snow, and the southern portions of New Hampshire and Vermont are experiencing over 6 inches of snow. And if we were to take a look further westward, you see that St. Louis gets involved with some snowfall. We see Ohio gets involved with right around 3 to 6 inches of snow, and Detroit gets involved as well, Indianapolis. So this is definitely going to be a major concern for millions of Americans. And even if you're just south of the snow line, you need to be worried for ice, because while no snowfall accumulation is currently forecast for Dallas, cities like Dallas, Little Rock, Memphis, Kentucky, and Washington, D.C., there could be an extreme ice. There will be an extreme ice. I want to emphasize that could be just as bad, if not worse, than what you'd typically expect for a snowstorm. So you need to be aware of that as well. If I were to show you guys what the European model is forecasting, you see that very similar to the GFS model. But what's interesting is that the European model is still taking a quite drastic change when it comes to a drastic different scenario to GFS model pretty drastically when we look at the Midwest, because you see that the European model is still focusing in on the southern Midwest to receive snowfall, such as Oklahoma City, the southern portion of Missouri, just south of St. Louis, while the GFS model wants to keep the snowfall primarily north of St. Louis, but no snow further southward. So it's going to be an interesting forecast still for the Midwest, but I'd say make sure to prepare as if a snowstorm is coming, because even if you don't necessarily receive snow from this, again, the ice will be a major issue for the southern Midwest. But you see that for Northeast, pretty much spot on with what the GFS model is currently forecasting. Almost completely resembles each other. So I'd say the certainty is high in the areas where you're forecast to receive snow. And you see New York City, very uncertain forecast. You're right in between receiving no snow at all to maybe 6 to 12 inches. But right now, I'll still say it's the most likely scenario is 1 to 3. So make sure to keep that in mind in New York City. Now let me show you guys a futurecast radar to show you when you should expect impacts. Of course, we're going to see freezing rain throughout the duration of the night for the areas along the Ohio River and Mississippi River Valley area. And if I were to continue to move forward, you see the rain showers do subside, the freezing rain showers do subside, but that's quickly about to change as this trough moves eastward. We will begin to see enough buoyancy in the air molecules, enough convective energy for a higher amount of precipitation to occur and a larger amount of precipitation to occur, where we do see some ice throughout where we do see some freezing rain throughout northern Texas, Oklahoma, extending to Arkansas, and we do see that extend to St. Louis, and that's when we should begin to see the area of snow expand as this moves eastward, where more convection will occur. And we do have a little bit of snow along the northern Midwest as well, such as Wisconsin, Iowa. So make sure right around Thursday night, early Thursday afternoon to Thursday night, you need to keep in mind for some snow showers in the northern Midwest. And this should arrive around Indianapolis by Thursday afternoon. And we should see the snow arrive in Cleveland Thursday night. And in the overnight hours, that's when we should see the snowfall expand to Pennsylvania, New York City. And you see that for a lot of northern New Jersey, you're going to have several hours where you're going to see heavy snowfall, as well as Pennsylvania, before it changes over to more of a freezing rain to rain threat for those areas. So you need to keep in mind during the overnight hours on Friday that we're going to see heavy snowfall, and then this should arrive in New England and upstate New York again by the overnight hours to very early on Friday, where Boston should experience heavy snowfall at times. And I'd say this should move out of the Northeast probably by Friday night for the most part, and it should move just off the coast of Northeast. So make sure keep that in mind when it comes to timing. Now, let me show you the warnings issued. Of course, we do have winter storm warnings issued throughout Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, extending to Illinois, Kentucky, and the extreme northwestern portion of Tennessee, as a major winter storm is imminent for you guys. And you see just south that winter weather advisories, because while you might not necessarily experience snowfall, you could experience some major freezing rain threats. So you need to pay close attention to that through Texas, because I know you guys from the last ice storm back in February 2021 were impacted very hard. While I'm not saying by no means that there's going to be the same thing, but you need to prepare accordingly for an ice storm, because it's definitely something you don't want to underestimate. And taking a look at the Northeast, now we have winter storm watches issued throughout upstate New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, Vermont, as well as southern Maine, and even northern New Jersey, where at this point it seems more imminent that you're going to experience a major snowstorm. And I think this should be upgraded to winter storm warnings very, very soon. So make sure to keep that in mind throughout New England. And taking a look at the ice accumulation forecast now, this is extremely worrying for Arkansas, because look at the forecast for Arkansas. You could experience up to 3/4 of an inch of ice, which is just devastating. And that's right over Little Rock, which I think is completely disastrous. That's going to create for impassable road conditions. Power outages are certainly possible. And we even do see some areas in the red where you could experience up to an inch of ice, which is just disastrous. Just make sure to stay off the roads Thursday afternoon. That's when the worst of the ice should be for you guys. And you see that even extending further southward, Dallas, Texas could receive up to 1/4 of an inch of ice, which could still make for some slick road conditions. Eastern Oklahoma could experience up to 1/10 of an inch of ice. So make sure to pay close attention to this throughout the southern Midwest, because this ice storm is expected to be quite major for you guys. And extending to the Northeast, you see that even in the areas where you might not necessarily experience snowfall, you see that a major ice threat is certainly possible, where you could receive up to 1/2 an inch of ice in some areas in the Northeast. You see New Jersey's getting involved. Even New York City could get involved with some ice accumulation and freezing rain threat. Extending to Indianapolis, where you could receive up to 1/4 of an inch of ice. So make sure to pay close attention to this. This forecast could definitely change within the next 24 hours, because again, it's very difficult to forecast. It's more difficult to forecast freezing rain and ice accumulation, because typically the line or the area of freezing rain is a lot more narrow than rain or snow. So again, we're going to need to keep in mind where the freezing rain line will be. But you need to at least be prepared throughout this general area, for a freezing rain threat. Now, taking a look at my snowfall forecast, so not much changes from yesterday. I did update it to where the Midwest is receiving a little bit less snowfall, as it does seem like the computer models are as lenient as strengthening the storm as fast for there to be heavy snowfall from the Midwest. But you see from the Northeast, mostly the same thing. I did put the 6 to 12 inch line a little bit further northward, because the computer models did shift slightly northward during today's runs. But I think we're definitely gonna see changes within the next 24 hours. Small changes that could make a big difference, so make sure to pay close attention to that. You could receive up to 12 to 24 inches in portions of New England, so make sure to prepare for that. And 6 to 12 inches for a lot of New England. And of course, we're going to see an extreme ice threat for the areas further southward, and Indianapolis could get involved with 3 to 6 inches. Cleveland, Ohio, New York City, I'd say the current forecast is right around 3 to 6 inches, but this could easily change 1 to 3 inches, but this could easily change within the next 24 hours. And Philadelphia, I'm not expecting any snowfall accumulation, but ice accumulation is certainly possible. So I want you guys to at least be aware of that road conditions could be slick for your Friday morning commute. But yeah, guys, I guess that's it for this video. I thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see more weather-related content. Make sure to like if you like this video. Make sure to turn on post notifications if you want to see even more weather-related content. And I hope you guys have a great day.